Hi Aquarius, I hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into it, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. Looking at the Wheel of Fortune. You may have had the opportunity to travel somewhere and you didn't take it. That may be a side note. For some of you, it almost seems like there could have been even a karmic type of opportunity that knocked on your door and you may have turned away from it, shied away from it. Yeah, it seems like you could have gotten caught up in a contract. I'm speaking like spiritually, energetically, you could have gotten tied up in something, but it seems like you almost knew better because of the experience that you have and not getting caught up in this. Of course, this can absolutely be something in the 3D too. Like you could have been offered like some type of contract and shied away from it. But yeah, it seems like something that you could have gotten, I'm hearing, all twisted up within, but I'm seeing you shy away from it. It seems like some type of opportunity, like I'm not sure what would have become of it if you had taken it, but there's a sense of wanting to do things differently and go a different path than what was being offered to you is what I'm seeing here. Now, I'm also seeing the Ace of Cups and the Queen of Cups and the Six of Pentacles. There's a sense here of really trusting yourself and trusting what it is that you are feeling when it comes to what you're looking for and what feels like it exemplifies the type of balance and harmony that you want. This feels too connected to relationships where you have like the sentiment of love for people as well. Maybe analyzing these situations that you've been in when it comes to thinking about what it is that you're looking for, how it is that you want to show up for others, how you want people to show up for you, how much energy and emotion you're willing to give and how much you want to keep to yourself. Yeah, it almost seems kind of like a reevaluation that's happening. And I mean, too, as we grow, there's always a sense of like recalculating and readjusting to what resonates with you at a particular point in time. So now I'm looking at the King of Wands. Yeah, it seems like a reevaluation of what you've been involving yourself with. Can be relationships, can be habits, situations, what you're around. it feels like taking back control over things that maybe you had gotten sucked into. It's like even maybe something subtly that you had been drawn into as well. My nose is itching so much. For some of you, there's even a sense of like maybe getting involved. It kind of feels like foot in the door, you know? It's like in social psychology, when we talk about like people having their foot in the door, it's like someone will ask you for a small favor, and if you say yes to it, the next time they come around they'll ask for something bigger, and you feel more inclined to say yes to them because you like already like did something for them. So that's like having your foot in the door. And I mean that can go both ways too, but it almost feels like that. It's like maybe you got involved in something and you were like, okay, this doesn't seem like a big deal, or like maybe I want to see how this goes, or maybe you didn't think that it was like going to wholeheartedly like suck your energy into it. And then there's a moment of being like, I'm very involved in this, and like, do I actually want to be so involved in this? So it feels like reassessing this for yourself and being like, what is coming from this? What is the outcome of this? Like, how do I feel when I'm engaging in this? Is this something that I want to continue doing? Like, do I want to pull my energy back a bit? And like having that sense of reevaluating things. It kind of almost feels too like changing course of direction. Like you had been maybe going one way and maybe even like in a way committed to that, but there's a sense of being like, I actually want to take a different route this time. And this may be something that needs to be communicated as well. It's like some type of opportunity knocks on your door again, and when you open it, you have to be like, I'm not going to take it. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. And this may have been something that you could have been like reticent at one point in time to like audibly communicate this, but now you feel more comfortable with that. It's like maybe we are prioritizing our commitment to like truth and honesty and like where we are and what resonates with us rather than what we're like used to doing or normally doing. So it's like as you grow, your decisions are changing and growing with you. Because sometimes too what hinders us from like really taking off when we're going through a period of like big transition or growth for us is like, oh, I used to do things that way, so like I'm going to continue doing that. It's like that difficulty of breaking those patterns, or like even having people around you that are reinforcing things. So it's like maybe you had a pattern of doing something, and then you get to a point where you're like, I don't actually want to be associated with that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to hang out with that person anymore. And there's this sense of getting more comfortable being like, yeah, I may have done it before, but that's not where I am now. And I mean, like, I'm just getting the example right now of like dieting, right? So food is a very social thing, and sometimes when like we're around people, a way that we socialize with them is by like sharing food and like the importance of food. And sometimes even like, for example, family members, it's like, say you're changing your diet and then you go to a family event and like you decide that you're not going to be eating meat or something, and everyone's like, oh well, like I just saw you eat a hamburger last time and like all of this stuff, and you're like, well, that's not what I'm doing anymore. And it's about not getting pressured socially into conforming in a way that goes against where you are now. So this is all about like you moving in alignment with like your current beliefs regardless of what you've done in the past. And as I said before about this being reversed, maybe we also catch ourselves like holding people to a certain standard and they're also trying to change as well. And this is something to keep in mind too. So it's like, is your commitment towards consistency, or is it towards like honesty and you moving in a way that resonates with you and who you're growing into? Because sometimes too we make decisions and then you like find out more information, or you like become more conscious in a way, and you're like, yeah, at that point in time, like I didn't have an awareness of this, or like it didn't seem like a big deal to me, and now it does. So like just because of that, like the little seed of a thought that has changed things for you, it then changes the way that we act, and these are how our thoughts manifest. And to then go against that is going to like cause internal tension and conflict. So this is something for sure that we want to be aware of. Yeah, it feels like some type of social pressuring even. So this is also getting comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes in social situations as well. For some of you, there's a focus on the past, a past partnership or relationship that you had in working with this person. It doesn't have to be romantic, although it can be. Like, I'm seeing someone that you at least feel sentimental towards, or you had in the past. Yeah, this feels very nostalgic, whoever this person is that's coming through. I'm looking at Gemini in this middle spread. This could have been someone that you worked with in the past. Like, it can be an old coworker or a boss or something. Or it can be someone that you knew in your personal life. Like, someone may be returning in some type of way, or you may, like, collaborate with them again, or, like, hang out with them again, something like that. Definitely someone, you may even have, like, like, maybe even a familial type of relationship with this person, possibly. Like, I'm seeing you feel close with them in that type of way. So yeah, it seems almost like a return of something, but I'm seeing like you still would have a good rapport with this person. Like, this may be someone that you just have like a type of history with. It's interesting too, the transition of colors throughout the spreads as well, because I'm looking at like, this feels very much like solar plexus and like pentacles type of things over here. So it would be like our 3D environments, our family relationships, even, it feels like root chakra. And then this one feels like emotional, sentimental. I'm seeing like heart and throat. And then this over here feels very much connected to like sacral and solar plexus energy, because I'm seeing like a lot of red and orange and yellow. Let's get one more. Yeah, and now we have the Emperor. Like, I'm seeing so much red over here and orange. Yeah, it seems in this spread over here, it seems like there's a change that's going to be happening. I feel a very restrictive type of energy. It's like you have a connection with someone, but there's a sense of this being out of balance at times. And it's like, I'm getting a sense of you being aware of this, but there's also a notion of kind of feeling like maybe more subdued within that. It's like that moment of being like, well, my hands are tied, but when you look at your hands, it's like you that's clasping them. That's kind of what this feels like. So it's about recognizing that, like, you may be committed to something in some type of way, but as soon as it gets out of balance, you're allowed to step out from that. You don't have to just keep going on um in something when it becomes like um tainted or out of balance. Yeah, it seems like something has like even morphed into um something that's gotten away from the essence of what it was. So this is about being able to make a decision that you feel good about in relation to this. It's like something that you don't want to do anymore, don't want to be involved in anymore, or like a relationship that's gotten out of balance. And there's a sense of having the respect for yourself and where you are to make a decision that makes sense for this situation, and to do one from to make a decision from an empowered place as well. And know that if you're feeling stuck, it's you that's keeping yourself there. So it's about like moving beyond that. I mean, like, you may have anxiety, maybe experiencing anxiety because something feels difficult to pull away from, because energetically you feel very attracted to it or attached to it. But this is about like connecting with your higher self and making a decision that feels right for you and what it is that you're trying to build and where you're trying to go. It's like having the discipline to make the right choices for you. Especially when things like, I'm not getting a word, I'm like seeing visuals more so about a situation. It's like something that just essentially doesn't feel right anymore, or it's gotten away again from the essence of what it was, like why you got involved in the first place. And there's like some, because when we see the devil as well, it's like those social like restrictions, it's like the conformity and all of that, and like people don't normally do that, you know. It's about breaking out of those binds of people telling you like what you should and shouldn't do, and like what you're telling yourself what you should and shouldn't do, or like I don't normally do that. It's all about being like, well, what am I feeling right now, and like really being true to that and authentic to yourself here. And like really listening to your heart ultimately. It feels too that notion of like every moment being like a new you in every moment, and so you grow with that. So it's like, rather than being like, well, what have I done in the past and what feels familiar to me, it's like, well, what do I want to do right now in this moment, and check in with yourself in that way. It's like, don't, you can absolutely look back in the past, because like what history we do not learn, we repeat. So it's all about like using your wisdom to make choices, and also to make choices from a place where you're checking in with where you are right now. So this is too about, sometimes we get really comfortable and we get in a mode of like these loops, these karmic cycles that we get caught up in, and we kind of stop thinking and we become automated in a certain way. And so this is about really checking yourself and being present and being like, does this resonate with me? Do I want to still participate in this? Is this helping me to grow? Do I feel good when I'm doing this? Is it something that I want to move away from? Do I want to explore differently than I have been? Like, is this what I want? So it's like using all of that wisdom that you've gained because of your experiences, and also not being hindered because of choices you've made in the past or patterns you've fallen into. Yeah, this reminds me of going back to the whole foot in the door thing. It's like, just because you did something, you don't have to continue doing it. So maybe a sense of shedding as well. I mean, especially with like Pluto, I'm just seeing something very big changing for you here when it comes to like a way that you process, and maybe even like the whole way that you make decisions too. It's like maybe looking at it from a new perspective that helps um grant you a type of access that you didn't have before. And feeling good because you feel empowered and in control. And there's a sense too of coming more into knowing yourself as well, because you're not holding yourself back. Powerful. There's still a process here of also being like, you're not going to get to a point where you're like, I know completely who I am and all of this stuff. It's about like embracing yourself in each moment with all of the layers that you lose, and like finding yourself and moving with that motion. It's like constantly keeping your heart open to yourself and where you're going. For some of you, you may even be in a situation with someone where you feel maybe like they've been making decisions for you, and now you're going to be like, I'm actually going to make my own decisions now. I'm seeing some overlap with the, it's funny because I've done like a bunch of readings since the Pisces reading, but this little spread over here reminds me very much of Pisces reading that I did yesterday, I think. So definitely seeing overlap with that. The Pisces reading revolved mainly around a relationship, just to give you some info. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like the main cards that I saw that stuck out to me in that spread, I'm seeing over here. It was also about like not taking on other people's karma as well, and knowing that you don't have to carry that too. And like extricating yourself from something you don't want to be involved in anymore. Yeah, the cards are just confirming what I said before. I'm seeing it be like you want to do something in a new way, or there's like a new you that's kind of emerging from like all of this stuff that you're learning from and growing from. And so you're like kind of coming out of the cocoon in that way. And so in embracing yourself, this is a lesson about like you also being able to advocate for yourself now and be like, yeah, this is where I am now, and these are the choices that I'm going to be making, and like moving with yourself as that happens. So it's like also getting more clear on how you want to set boundaries with people. Also too, what I have found helpful is like if I know that I'm going into a situation where I may be like confronted or questioned about decisions that I'm making, or I'm doing something new, and like I'm aware that people are going to be curious about it or questioning about it, sometimes you can like role play and have a conversation with yourself to kind of like prepare prior to going into a situation if you know you're going to be in a situation. You also always have the choice of shutting something down if you don't want to have a conversation as well. But this is about like getting into the practical side of what happens when you're making new decisions for yourself, and how to like stand strong and hold space for yourself. So like when someone wants to question you, you're able to like be confident about what it is that you're doing, and like if you find it necessary to be reassuring too. It's interesting, you know, this is actually reminding me as well when personal story time, when I ended up leaving my last job and I moved into what I do now. There was definitely, it was very unexpected for me to be doing what I'm doing now, and so like when I had a conversation with someone that I was close with, that was like, what are you going to do? Is this the right choice that you're making? Like, what are you going to do about this, and this, like A, B, and C? And it was coming from a place of concern because I care for this person in the relationship that I maintain with them. There was a sense of like, only sharing information with them when I was ready to be sharing information, and knowing too that, like, because I care about them and wanted to be able to have that dialogue, be able to approach them from a place where I was going to be able to provide like a reassuring type of energy to them about a decision that I was making. For some of us, maybe you don't even want to have a conversation with someone about like a choice that you're making or whatever, but when you do want to like have a relationship with someone and like enter into like some of these more difficult conversations, there's a sense of like wanting to be able to reassure people and do it in an authentic way, because people are going to be able to tell like if you're kind of faking it. And so there's this sense of like needing to talk yourself up and be in a place where you feel ready to be able to have certain conversations, so kind of like to prepare beforehand if possible. Because someone can still have a difference of opinion as you, and it doesn't need to like turn into an escalated thing. You can just agree to disagree, or be like, I hear you and I understand that you're worried and I'm still going to proceed doing this, you know, or you're concerned or whatever. So just being able to do it from the most grounded place possible. And obviously we can't prepare for every situation, but in the times when we can, I found it to be very helpful to me in relation to like my interpersonal relationships. So maybe a piece of advice that will be valuable to you if you're making like some big changes that people may not be used to in their something that you want to be addressing with those people, if you choose to. So to go over all the zodiacs, I'm looking at Jupiter. Jupiter speaks about expansion and change and growth. I'm looking at Gemini, I'm looking at Saturn. Gemini, processing, communication, siblings as well. Saturn, lessons, karma, all of that. I'm looking at Capricorn. Capricorn can speak on our job, our like role titles, psychosocial things, our public persona as well, 10th house. I'm also looking at Pluto. Pluto's going through transit right now. So we're going to be definitely experiencing things going on in relation to that. Pluto speaks about transformation, regeneration, things changing, things breaking down, us getting to the bottom of things in order to build them back up, really deep analyzation that we're going to be doing. And I'm also looking at Aries too. And when we speak about Aries in the first house, this is about like how you're presenting to the world, how you're perceiving yourself, and like what it is that you're doing, how you're making your mark is what I'm hearing. So we are going to end it here, my friends. I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.